Okay, good algebra people. This is day 3 of online learning. This is going to be multiplying fractions. As you can see, it's not as difficult as adding or subtracting fractions, I promise you. There is no need in multiplying fractions for a common denominator. So literally all we're going to do for multiplying fractions is, I'll write this a little bit bigger. We got, 2/3 times 4/5. We're going to take the 2 times the 4 over the 3 times the 5. That's 2 times 4 for 8, 3 times 5 for 15. And since 8 over 15 will not reduce any further, that's it. That's our final answer. Multiply numerators, multiply denominators, and then of course you have to see if there's anything to reduce in the fraction. And here, there are not. Let's look at our next fraction. Okay, notice this one has a negative. It does not matter if you put the negative on top or bottom. So I will do it both ways for you. The first time, I will take 2 times the -4 over 7 times. Now in this case, we have to do +3 because we already used the negative. And everybody knows a negative divided by negative is a positive. Therefore, we can't use a negative in both places. 2 times -4 is -8. 7 times 3 is 21. And since -8 over 23 will not reduce in any way, this is our final answer. Notice I did not convert either of these to decimals. Notice I didn't seek a different way to find an answer. Please also notice I didn't write 8 over 15. This is not a fraction. It looks like part of a web address. So please write your fractions numerator over denominator. If there's a negative, to be honest with you, you should finally write the final answer as the negative in front, 8 over 21. To be honest with you, let's work this out to where the negative goes to the bottom. So now I have 2 over 7 times 4 over -3. Notice the top is still 2 times 4. You'll have to forgive me. 2 times 4. And 2 times 4 is a +8. And on the bottom now I have 7 times -3. I'm still going to get a 21, but this time it's going to be negative. Look, there's a negative 8 over 21. Here's a negative 8 over 21. This is your final answer. It's preferred to still write the negative out in front when you're done, but please remember the negative can be in front, it can go in the numerator, or it can go in the denominator. And if you're not sure that these three are equal and you think I'm crazy, go ahead and put those in a calculator and you can see for yourself, okay? Okay, now a shortcut here. Notice we have a negative fraction times a negative fraction. Negatives seem to freak people out. So let's look at this real quick. If I had -3 times -2, you all understand a negative times negative makes a positive. So the negatives in essence will become positive. 3 times 2 becomes a +6, okay? So if I have a negative fraction times a negative fraction, I literally can just rewrite it as 6 over 5 times 1 over 2. We have a difference here now. You'll see later, well, I'm going to show you first, we're going to be able to reduce this fraction, and later I'm going to show you how to shortcut that. The process we're showing you right now is taking numerator times numerator, or 6 times 1, denominator times denominator, or 5 times 2. 6 times 1 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10. Now I'm going to write out some words here to explain what's happening, but these are both even numbers, therefore 2 goes into both of them. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So we can write a 3 on top. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So therefore we can write 5 on bottom. Even though this is the beginning of our answer, this is the reduced and final answer. Now, if you're wondering if 6 over 10 is really the same as 3 over 5, watch the calculator. 6 divided by 10 is 0.6. 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. They're exactly the same. Just you have to remember that we want the most reduced form. Okay. okay? Now, something to look at here is if I rewrite my 6 over 5 times my 1 over 2, this 2 that comes out at the end can actually come out up here. Notice 1, 2 goes into 2, and notice that 3 2's go into 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Notice that we've got 3 times 1 on top now, 5 times 1 on bottom. And by reducing the fraction early, we get the same reduced fraction as later. And notice how much less math we had to do because we recognize the reduction. Okay, here's our last problem we're going to practice for multiplying fractions. If we straight up multiply this, we get 9 times 10 over 3 times 5. 9 times 10 is 90. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, we can take the calculator and do 90 divided by 15. Oh, that gives us 6. 6 would be our final answer. Now, notice down here that you guys understand this. First, I have 9 divided by 3, and then I have 10 divided by 5. 9 divided by 3 is just 3 times 10 divided by 5 is simply 2. What is 3 times 2? It is the 6 that you see me have right here. Now, you're allowed to stop this lesson and start this lesson whenever you want. It is ideal for you to print this stuff out in the beginning and take notes on the paper as you go along. If you don't want to print, you're out of paper, or you just want to write down the problems, be sure to write down like this 2/3 times 4/5 before you get started taking your notes. There's going to be a brief pause here. Page 2 of this will include all 10 of these practice problems. Believe me, they're really short. I'm going to be able to talk about them in under 5 minutes as I work them out. But right now I'm going to pause the video and I'll give you a second to go and get your work and get ready to do the work with me. So again, pause the video, go practice these 10 problems. I'm going to keep talking now, working out the work. But as soon as you're done, be sure to turn the video back on and you can see the problems worked out. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit so I can try to focus a little bit more for you. I apologize. Real quick here, 2 times 1. Okay, so we get 2 times 1 over 3 times 3. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 3 is 9. And 2 over 9 won't reduce any further. And that's going to be your final answer. Okay. Here, nothing reduces again. We get 3 times 3 on top. And we get 8 times 4 on bottom. 3 times 3 is 9. 8 times 4 is 32. And again, that's not going to reduce any further. And that's your final answer. This one, I'm going to show you 2 different ways. If we just straight up multiply, we have 2 times 1, and we have 4 times 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 5 is 20. This will literally be 1 over 10 when we're done. But if you don't understand that in your calculator, be sure to take your 2 and divide by your 20. And you're going to get that 0.1. Go to math right here, math. And the first one is fractions. Just hit enter. Hit enter again, and you'll see that 1 over 10 becomes your reduced fraction. Now, if you understand that 2 over 4 is really 1/2, then we get to shortcut our work here. We get 1 times 1 over 2 times 5. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10. And you can see we wind up with this 1/10, regardless of how we solve the problem. Okay, let's move into our next problem. All right, there's nothing to reduce here, so straight up, 1 times 1 over 6 times 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 3 is 18. And since that's not going to reduce any further, we're going to be finished with the problem. Okay. Here, two ways to go about it. We can do 1 times 3 for 3 and 5 times 9 for 45. Again, calculator, it's our friend sometimes. And so we're going to take the 3 divided by 45 and enter. Notice we get this large fraction. However, we can go here to math again, and we'll go math, and the first option is fraction. And we hit enter again, and notice that the final answer is 1 over 15. And notice that's completely reduced. Again here, the 1 over 5 will not reduce, but 3 over 9 is the same as 1 over 3. This gives us 1 times 1 over 5 times 3. 1 times 1 is 1, 5 times 3 is 15, and notice that's our final answer. Moving on to 3b, we have some reductions here. 1 over 5 does not reduce, but 2 over 6 is the same as 1/3. We do 1 times 1, 5 times 3 is 1 over 15. If you don't reduce ahead of time, you get 1 over 2 times 5 over 6. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 6 is 30. Again, we can come to the calculator, do 2 divided by 30. We get a decimal. We go to math. We hit enter on fractions and enter again, and there's our 1/15. Okay. Let's see. We've got this problem here. Again, 4 times 6. And 5 times 9. 4 times 6 is 24. 5 times 9 is 45. I can tell you this reduces. We get 24 divided by 45. So crazy decimal again. But if we go to math and fractions, we see it reduces to 8 over 15. Okay. So let's look here. This 4 over 5 is not going to reduce. However, 6 over 9 is same as 2 over 3. So what do we get? We get 4 times 2 over 5 times 3. Notice we get 8 over 15. 8 over 15 is our final answer. Sorry about this little mess up here. I'll rewrite it right here. 8 over 15. Okay. On to our 4b. Nothing here reduces. Straight math. 2 times 1 over 5 times 3. 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 over 15 is not going to reduce. That will be your final answer. Here again, a couple ways to approach. 3 over 6 is the same as 1/2. We get 1/2 times 2 over 7. 2 over 2 is 1, but we'll see that in a minute. 1 times 2 over 2 times 7 is 2 over 14. Go to your calculator if you need to. 2 divided by 14 is this fraction. Hit math, fraction, enter, and notice it's the same as 1 over 7. That's going to be your final answer. If you don't reduce in the beginning, you get 3 over 2 times 6 over 7, which is 6 over 42. Again, 6 divided by 42 is this number, this decimal. We hit math, fraction, enter. Notice again, we get an answer of 1/7. 1/7 is the final answer there. This last problem allows us a couple chances to reduce. This first 1/6 is the same, 2/6, I'm sorry, is the same as 1/3. 5/2 is the same as 1/2. 1 times 1 over 3 times 2. 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 over 6 is our final answer. Notice if we don't shortcut early, we get 2 times 5 for 10, 6 times 10 for 60. Now, down here, I'm going to show you something real quick before I show you the calculator one last time. Okay, 10 over 60. Notice how they both end in a 0? You can wipe out that last 0 for both of them, and you wind up with 1/6. Okay, and if that doesn't make sense to you, 10 divided by 60, go to math, create a fraction, and you get 1/6. Okay, that wraps it up for multiplying fractions. I do thank you for your time. Be sure to remember that your teachers will be available at 10:30 in the morning and usually 2:30 in the afternoon via Google Hangouts. If you got questions for them, please be sure to get to us. If you have any other specific questions on these lessons, please refer to your algebra teacher. I hope you have a good day. I will personally see you next week. I think we're dealing in distribution. Have a good day.